it's finding that perfect balance of precision, functionality, and form. And I 100% see that in Dan Wesson. My whole motto is like, what would make a good book? And if my choices would be good in a book, if it would write down really well, then I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, running, trying to lie to myself.
My name's Colt Wrangler Lyons. I'm born and raised in Central Texas, and I build custom motorcycles for a living. And I've been doing that officially since 2015. You know, as I grew up, I just started rodeoing myself and, you know, working on ranches a little bit. But I always had a knack for tinkering with things. Me and my older brother, we always made stuff. We made toy guns. That was we made weapons, really. That was our biggest thing. And, you know, my older brother, Tiger, he's the biggest gun influence. You know, he's always been a big gun nerd. And so everything I know about guns, he taught me, pretty much. So yeah, childhood was kind of like that. And then, you know, in my teens, it's like working on a ranch and hunting a little bit and doing stuff like that. But I've always been the type to like just tinker on everything and make everything my own. So naturally I started doing that on my own stuff. And then eventually that morphed into me doing it for somebody else. And then it morphed into people like knocking on my door for it. And I was like, oh, maybe I could go in the business doing this, you know? When I first started, I was like super scared to just pull a motor out of a bike. This bike, before it finished, I probably put and pulled that motor out 6 times at least. So a lot of it is, the process is, you know, strip it down, get rid of everything you don't need. So like the first thing I'll do is basically take everything apart, cut everything off the frame I don't think I'm gonna need, start putting it back together, start adding some of the things I need. And then as I add more on the frame specifically, I may actually have to take the motor out again to get into certain places and weld, put it back in, test fit it again, and just go back and forth and back and forth. So by the time you're at the end of it, where everything's coated and fresh and new, you're just assembling it and everything's already dialed in. There's a lot of like testing. It's like, put it in, you know, try it out, see if it works. How does it fit? How does it feel? Sit on the bike, you know? Do I need to position things a little bit differently? Basically, the only thing on this bike that's factory is the motor, which has been built out too. I mean, internally it's not factory. But the engine and about 3/4 of the frame. There's about 1/4 of it that I cut off and redid. Other than that, everything is completely like custom. I guess creatively, I want it to be as pure as possible, and I feel like if you hone in too much on, you know, somebody else's bike building, it can start, you just kind of end up copying that or becoming that. And there's always going to be elements of that, but I try to look elsewhere creatively, so I could get inspiration from anything. I mean, anything mechanical too is very interesting to me. So like, I could be at the airport and like just seeing how a tray folds down and like the way it's built and how it's like lightweight and functional but it's very sturdy. It's like those kind of things can get my brain ticking sometimes on how I might build something. You know, firearms, same thing. It's like, you know, very precise and very functional and very minimal. It's a lot like bikes. There's not a lot that's hidden. You see most of it. It's all there. It's very few pieces and there's not a lot of room for BS, you know? It's got to be very functional and it's got to work, but then also, hey, if you want to sell it or if you want to inspire people, it's got to look cool too. The thing about Dan Wesson's products is it's the precision and the functionality, you know, along with like a sleek look, and it's comfortable in your hand. And that's exactly what I want to do with bikes. It's like, I want it to be precise. I want it to work really well. I want it to be, everything on it has a function. But then the form is also there, where it looks good and it feels good. Like, it sucks if it's sexy and then you sit on it and it's like, this is the worst feeling position I'm in, you know? This feels terrible, like you don't want that. You know, you could have the sexiest looking gun and then you put it in your hand, and if it doesn't feel comfortable, you're not gonna shoot good, you know? You're not gonna feel confident about it. It's the same thing with a bike. It's like, it could look amazing, but if you sit on it, you're not gonna ride good. You know, it's not going to function that well. So it's finding that perfect balance of precision, functionality, and form. And I 100% see that in Dan Wesson. For me, craftsmanship is to push yourself, to always do better, to you know, your next project always be better than your last.
Things that I can't change, too much I can't forget, but I think